Welcome back. Great to have you back
Thank
here
you.
to talk about Bright, this wonderful Netflix film. I was completely blown away when I watched it. Yeah, and
Good.
what I love so much about it is it's such a, set in LA, but a different kind of world, very futuristic, very creative. What was your initial instinct when you first picked up the script and read it?
I thought it was extraordinary. I was like, wow, it's as if Lord of the Rings was like the history of the world. And so there's orcs and elves and humans. But now we're in 2017. It's like a grungy, gritty LA. And it's just, there's different species in this world, but we've all got like phones and, it's just as if it's today.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I read it and I was like, this is amazing. It's such a gritty world. It's like End of Watch, but it just happens to be a different species.
You play Tika, she's an elf, and she's really interesting, and there's a lot of intricacies about her, and I don't want to give away too much, but how would you describe it?
Well, so Ward, who's played by Will Smith, and Jacoby the Orc, who's played by Joel Edgerton, they're two cops, and they're on patrol in downtown LA. They get a call, and they go to a house where they meet my character, Tika, and she is in possession of a magic wand, which is the most dangerous weapon in the whole world. And Tika's responsible for it because she's run away from a cult that worships the Dark Lord. And she needs to make sure that the wand doesn't end up back there because then the whole world will be destroyed. And so it's this chase that she goes on with Ward and Jacoby to keep the wand away from that cult and away from the orc gang, the corrupt cops, the human gang, and trying to keep it safe. And so when you meet her at the start of the film, you think that she's, she is going through a crisis of identity.
Yeah.
She's trying to leave this cult and have the strength to be good and to belong and to find meaning and fight for a world that's equal and not part of this like brainwashing kind of cult that she grew up in.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And and it's really interesting. I'm watching you in this film and I'm going, wow, it's extremely physical role.
Yeah.
You speak elvish. So how does one learn how to speak elvish?
Elvish?
Is that how you say it? Elvish.
Yeah, elvish. Well, I thankfully I'm like obsessed with Lord of the Rings. So I once I had an accent coach when I was working like 5 years ago, and she worked on Lord of the Rings, and I was like, can you teach me some Elvish? Because I'm obsessed with it. And so like
You never know when it's going to come in handy.
You never know.
Right?
I mean, that was my dream, and now it's come true. So I was like, this is weird. But yeah, and so David Peterson, who created the Game of Thrones languages, created our Elvish, which is, it's a little cheekier. It's a little like more, like the sounds are less like magical and floaty. Mm-hmm. Like Elvish in Lord of the Rings is like, this mythical, gentle kind of sound, because those elves are like that. But these elves, they're like nasty.
Working with, Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, like two of my favorite guys who happen to be pretty much two of the nicest guys around too.
Yeah.
But going on ride-alongs with them, all your scenes are pretty much with them. What do you learn from working with two veteran actors like that?
I learned so much. Like this experience of making Bright was probably the most life-changing thing I've ever done, because watching Will Smith work every day for 3 months and watching Joel Edgerton every day for 3 months, it was like, Will walks into a room and he makes everyone feel good and he lifts everyone up. He's got so much energy and he's so generous with his energy. And same with Joel, like he's covered in this mask, 3 kilos on his head every day, and yet he's like so kind and making jokes, and his work is just exceptional. Like he's such a brilliant character actor, and there's not a second in the film that feels unrealistic, even though he's covered in plastic. Mm-hmm. Like I couldn't believe it, and I was just watching them both, like trying to figure out how they do what they do. And it's kind of great because Tika is testing them out. Like at the start of the film, she doesn't really trust anyone because, she's run away from this cult. It's been brainwashed, and she's trying to figure out where she fits in the world. And she knows that it's not there because she's realized the darkness of that cult.
Right.
And she's trying to find like how to be good and how to fight for a world that's equal. And she meets Ward and Jacoby and goes on this journey with them. And so she's testing them out to see if she can trust them, to see if they are good. And so it was great for me because it meant that like I got to be really shy and reserved, and because I was totally in awe and completely like struck by them.
Yeah.
And I got to like slowly get to know them, and as Tika, she's trying to figure out like what they're like, and it was just as if it was all real for me, because the way Tika was experiencing them and like learning how wonderful they are and that she can trust them and that she can, you know, save the world with them. It was like, as myself, just like learning how they work and how kind they are, it was like, yeah, it was a really life-changing experience getting to work with them every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. And also, you know, on the surface, people can watch this film and go, it's a good action film, it's David Ayer. I mean, he gave us such great, you know, Suicide Squad and Training Day and all this, he wrote that. But when you dig a little deep, it's got so much more meaning behind it, you know, about diversity, about racism and stuff. It's really powerful. How do you feel about that?
I'm so proud to be part of a film that talks about these issues in a way that's just real. Like, you know, it could be a fantasy, but the way that David's dealt with the segregation of the elves and the orcs and the humans, and the kind of elitism of the elves, and the way the orcs are oppressed and the humans kind of in the middle, it's like there's a lot of metaphors and parallels to current issues in the United States. And David's done such a wonderful job of like pointing out this underbelly, I guess, of America in a way that's really thrilling and action-packed. So like you just like go on this wild ride and you have a great time, and it's such a fun movie, and you're laughing the whole time, and it's like this amazing experience. But then when you leave it, you're like, oh, there's some things to digest here. Like, he manages to put these brilliant messages through it in such an entertaining way, and I'm so proud to be part of that.
Yeah, as he should be. It's a really, really good film. A lot of all night shoots, I would think, on this one.
Yeah,
how does one, you know, get used to doing that?
Yeah. Oh my God. I guess like naturally I'm a bit of a night owl, and I mean, I was working with Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, so I was like, I'm up, I'm awake. I'll be awake for this. I don't want to miss a second.
Yeah, I don't blame you for sure. What challenged you the most playing her?
Tika is, you know, I love Tika so much. Like, from the moment I read the script, I just fell in love with her, and I kind of like got to know her. Like, as we started doing the auditions, I started to like feel something. Like, she was, it's very rare that this happens, but I felt like she was an energy already, like that she kind of already existed, and I just had to like clear myself and let her move through me. And she taught me so much. Like, she kind of took me into the darkest places. Like, you know, she's having this crisis of identity, and she's battling with herself, and she's running away from her sister and from everything she's known, because she realizes that it's not right and that there's a better way to live. And so it's like she took me into the darkest and scariest places inside of myself that I could ever go. But she taught me that that's where the seeds of growth are, and that like looking at that stuff and being able to stand what you see, whether it's internally or externally in the world, and that being able to stand it, that's where the transformation can happen, that the change can happen from there. And yeah, I'm so grateful that I got to play her, because she's really changed my life and made me so much stronger.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to be seeing you in so many more movies and TV shows and things. You're so wonderful, and it's just been lovely to have a chance to talk to you. Best of luck with this. I think, you know, as everything on Netflix, people are just going to run to it and watch it. You've done an incredible job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Congratulations. Lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.